The voice of truth tells me a different story. I will choose to listen and believe the voice of truth.
So, welcome. We got the 5 ways to achieve emotional freedom, but before we really start diving into that information, what I want to do is just kind of clear any stuff that we accumulated today, right? Anybody got some stuff going on, possibly? Yeah, okay, we got one person. And there were other people that came in today earlier that had some stuff, right? And so we want to clear that, because you don't want to be having all that stinking thinking in your head and you're trying to concentrate to what I'm saying. Those two don't really work well together, okay? So, we're all going to close our eyes. And if you have food in your lap, you can close your eyes. Just be careful. I don't want you to spill the food all over yourself, or fall asleep and drop your head into the food. Come on in. Come on in, beautiful lady. Glad you're here. Pick a spot, any spot. And if there isn't a spot, get with Chevy and she'll find a spot. Is that spot available? Beautiful. And does anybody else need a chair? No? Okay, cool. Wherever you guys want to be. I always say during these talks, if you want to do a downward cow or backwards pigeon or reverse dolphin, whatever you want to do, you just go to it, okay? So, we're all going to clear out stuff. Go ahead and close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes. And what I want you to think about is go ahead and start thinking about everything you're grateful for. Everything that's working. And as you think about that, I just want you to take a deep breath in your nose and let it all out. And just a nice slow breath. Really just let that breath just come in real easy. Don't rush it. And just continue to breathe on your own. In the nose and out the mouth. Go ahead and let your arms drop to your side. If your legs are crossed, uncross your legs. If there's stuff in your hands or you got stuff on your lap, if you're even thinking about it, even for 1 second, if it's drawing your attention away from what I'm saying right now, and it probably is because you're worried about it sliding off your lap, because, oh my God, that would be embarrassing, and then you would be like a horrible person in your mind right now, then put that on the ground, but you're not a horrible person if that happens. It's called being a human being, so that's okay. Happens to everybody. And just think about what's working. Continue to take those deep, short breaths in the nose and out the mouth. And what I want you to feel is picture water just running over your body, how relaxing that feeling is, that warm water, that nice warm hot shower. And the water comes over your cheeks and it comes over your chin and it comes over your neck and your back. And as that water's coming down over your chin, your cheeks, and your back, you feel everything just kind of submit and everything just kind of lets go. Just like you're letting go of any negativity. Anything that's been on your mind, anything that happened today from a coworker or a friend or a family member. Maybe even recently you've had the loss of a family member. Maybe you're in the military and you're stressed all the time. You just want to let that go. You want to start to see yourself as perfect. And the way that perfection begins is right now as you take that deep breath in. And you want to just develop a cadence for yourself. Just develop a nice, easy cadence for yourself. Letting that breath come in, letting it go away. And now as that water's kind of traveled to your back and your traps and your shoulders, you want to feel your chest relax, your fingertips, your glutes, your abdominals. You want to feel that water travel over the front of your legs, to the back of your legs, to your ankles, all the way to your toes. And as you experience this cleansing, it's just like the cleansing you want to be doing every day in your mind. You're cleansing your mind right now, and you're letting go of everything. So think about your health as a bucket right now. And holding that bucket is your creator. Your creator's holding the keys to you getting rid of this stuff and washing yourself of it. And as that water comes all over your body, down to your toes, all over your back, your arms, your legs, it's going into that bucket. And your Creator has that bucket in his or her hands. Or if you call it the universe, whatever it is to you. That's where all those blocks and all those things are going right now. And in full faith, you're giving them away to your Creator. And they're disappearing. And you're continuing to feel that breath come into your body. That breath is going to your lower back. It's going to your mid-back. It's going to your upper back. It's going to your brainstem bone. It's going to your shoulders. And that breath is helping you wash away the condemnation, the self-doubt, the guilt you might have, the unforgiveness you might have for yourself, the thoughts that you have that are not productive for you right now, that are in your head or in your brain. Because you're perfect in your Creator's image. You were designed perfectly. I want you to take 3 more slow breaths in at whatever cadence you've developed. And then when you feel complete, I want you to open your eyes. Okay, I don't think I missed anybody. So, we're going to take a little poll, a little survey. Survey says, all right, so here's the way a survey is going to work. I'm not going to ask the simple question first. I'm going to ask the unsimple one first. Or maybe it is simple. I don't think it is. The question I'm going to ask you is, how many people gave me 100% and gave it their all throughout that entire exercise? Raise your hand. Okay. And if you didn't, you're the only person you're cheating by not being honest about this little survey is yourself, right? And so what I would challenge you to do is, if you didn't give 100%, go home tonight and journal why. You get that? Because there's a block there. And we're going to talk about blind spots in a second, but does everybody see how that would be a block if we're doing an emotional release exercise? Doesn't mean you're a bad person. There's no condemnation or judgment about it, because we tend to do that to ourselves, don't we? But what you want to do is that just creates more awareness. And I'm going to discuss awareness in a minute. So for all the people that gave 100%, now, did I say you're going to feel like Jesus and you're going to walk on water after this exercise? No, I did not say that before we started the exercise, right? Some of you are like, oh, man. But if you even feel 5% different at all, you had any change happen after that exercise, and you feel a shift, raise your hand. Praise God. Awesome. I don't know what the percentage is, but that's pretty darn good. I'd say that's probably 75% of the room. How many people felt no shift at all? Okay, so we got 3. No, and see, it's not about me and my ego, and trust me, my ego is not that fragile. My wife might argue that, but it's really not. And so 3 people raised their hand, they didn't feel a shift. Well, let me ask you this. Is everything we do in life a journey? Does it take time to build a muscle when you're in the gym? Yeah, it does, right? So if you expected to just like jump into this and like totally be free and be alive and just start this process and be 100% good at it, you're probably being a little too hard on yourself. You get that? Because I don't know about you guys, but I've got a lot of emotional blocks. And most of them aren't from what happened today at work or yesterday at work or 2 weeks ago. They're from when? Yeah, way back, guys. In your past, right? Because most of you had something happen in your life where you failed. You get that? Where you failed. We call those blind spots. Anybody taking landmark in here? And if you've done landmark, you know what a blind spot is, okay? A blind spot is the time in your life where you failed and you either verbally or subconsciously said to yourself, I'm never going to let that happen again. And when you uttered those words, or maybe you weren't even aware that you were saying them in your mind, you created a neurological block. in the neuroemotional technique world, some of you have had NET, and some of you haven't yet. And we specifically designed it that way, okay? Because what's the most important thing we do in this office? Is it the traction, the NET, the nutritional, right? Is it all that? No. It's what, Sandy? It's the adjustment. Because what does the adjustment do? And I'm going to get back to this to a second, but God's telling me to steer it in a different direction, so we're going to go. I listen to those voices. I don't have voices in my head. They're good voices, right? But what does the adjustment do? Does it change some things or all things? Yeah, because it reconnects you to life. You get that? Reconnects the brain to the spinal cord, and then the spinal cord's able to send those signals to your organs. And some of you might be sitting here right now and that already always listening voice where you're telling yourself, man, he talked about this last month. He always starts with the subluxation. Why is that? Because it's the most important thing. It's the thing that makes you a better father, a better mother, a better grandparent, a better uncle, sister, employee, employer. You get that? Because to truly step into a transformation, the type of transformation that's going to make you a better person and allow you to change your life, to truly step into that, that's not just a health thing, that's a life thing. And the best chemical balancer and balancer of past events, the best reset that you can possibly have, happens at this first bone right here called the atlas. This is the life changer right here. There are some people in this room right now, I've heard stories the last 2 weeks. We hear them all the time. But the last 2 weeks, just to give you an idea, a patient and I, we were sitting in a room together and we were crying. We were in tears together. And she gave me one of the biggest compliments I've ever had in my life. She said that I saved her life. Whew! I almost get like teary-eyed thinking about it. She told me I was a lifesaver. And I was like, man, you just took a shovel and just dug my heart out in a good way. It's like seeing little Cordie when he smiles in the morning and he goes, da-da, like that, right? Or kitty, kitty, because he can't say kitty, so he does like this, like, ee. That's what he does, right? Like that'll just like melt your heart. That'll absolutely melt your heart. And it wasn't because of how many nutritionals I'd done on her. It wasn't because of how much NET I'd done on her. It's because I reconnected her to life. The body can't run without life. And that only happens at that first bone, guys. But that takes time and repetition, doesn't it? And I always like to go over this with you guys because sometimes we get subluxated thinking. Not just related to our past events and what we're experiencing at work. And I'm not just talking about blind spots. I'm talking about related to whatever we're currently doing with our life or in our life. And that happens related to our health. Doesn't that kind of make sense that would happen if every 30 seconds we get all these drug commercials? And then you've heard me say this before. Anybody have that one family member that like wrote the book on health? Anybody got that person? Well, obviously I am in my family, right? But I'm talking about the unsolicited advice you get from the person that's on 5, 10 medications, right? They're 20, 30 pounds overweight. And they've had like 5 surgeries, and when you have a health concern, they're giving that unsolicited advice about what you need to do for your health. Anybody got anybody like that in their family? Yeah. And if you're a woman, you can think about how that was when you were going through pregnancy, right? When you're going through pregnancy, everybody had the ticket to it. Just do this, right? And then do this, and you hear all this stuff, right? But you got to do what's right for your journey. You got to do what's right for your journey. And what you should be listening to is that inner voice. That inner voice that's telling you, you know what? I don't need to take any more drugs or medications. I don't need to go to the doctor when I got a cough. I should come in and get my brainstem checked to get reconnected to life. That's what it's all about. So no matter what conditions you have going on or what ones are currently going on that aren't healed, the conversation tonight is going to be getting more and creating more of what you want, not what you don't want. Because some of you, death and life are in the power of the tongue. You're constantly saying things that aren't really serving you and serving where you want to be. You get that? Can anybody relate to that? I could for years. For years, I was saying stuff, and it wasn't really like, it certainly wasn't like productive to what I was trying to do, like moving forward, right? Oh, I suck, I'm a failure, I'm never going to amount to anything, all that stuff. And that internal dialogue creates something that Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about. It's called neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. So what it is from a cellular standpoint is it's like brain retraining and brain mapping. Do you think you can brain retrain and brain map positively and negatively? Yeah. So if we've got trauma that goes back 20 years from a blind spot, meaning the time in our life where we said, well, I'm never going to be abused again, or I'm never going to allow emotional abuse to happen again, or I'm never going to date a man again, or I'm never going to love a man again, or I'm never going to marry again, or whatever it is, or I'm never going to get in a car again, or whatever it is, guys, fill in the blank. When you said that, consciously or subconsciously, meaning you didn't know what you didn't know that you didn't know it, you created a neuroplastic pattern. The science and research out there says that that thought or that trauma gets stored in the mitochondria of the cell. So what starts happening? You start getting triggered on a daily basis, don't you? And what you're not even aware of in that moment is that you're being triggered by that wound, by that failure. So you may go off on a spouse. You may go off on an employee. You may go off on your son, your daughter. Who knows, right? May get irritated. May be short with somebody. It shows up differently for everybody, doesn't it? Or maybe you're one of those people that you just hold it all in. A lot of stress, right? And then you come in my office looking like this. Weird parrot bird syndrome. I don't understand what's going on, Doc. I've never had a car accident or anything. There's no problem with me. I'm great emotionally. Or the guys, right? The guys are the worst. Come in sandals, right, and a Bermuda T-shirt, or, I call it the Jimmy Buffett syndrome, right? Like they just got off a wave and a surfboard, right? Oh, I'm good, Doc. What are you talking about? Man, I don't have stress. What are you talking about? And he's easy like Sunday morning, right? But he gets ran over like a dump truck on a paper bag. Because he stores everything internally and he doesn't know how to process it. You get that? So people run over him. He's got no boundaries. He's not verbally abusive, but he's abusive to himself because he takes all that in and he stores it. You get that? So there's different types of emotional stress, but even getting it out bad and kind of being aggressive with people and ugly and mean, that's just as bad as internalizing it. Because both ways you're hurting yourself and you're hurting other people because you're not processing it. And so those triggers, until we remove them, your body's going to release something called cortisol. Cortisol puts you in a fight or flight state, a sympathetic state. So you're in the woods, you're running from the bear's trying to kill you. So how does that show up in some of your bodies? You get to work, and automatically at work, Patty comes over and talks to you, and you're like, oh my goodness, here we go again, right? And Patty starts talking about how her dog pooped on her bed this morning, and her husband sucks, and all this stuff, right? And she's talking about all this stuff to you and unloading on you, and you start feeling tightness in your neck, and you start feeling tightness in your stomach, and after you get done talking to Patty, you feel like somebody hit you with a baseball bat. Anybody got friends like that? We don't actually call those friends, by the way, okay? We don't actually call those friends, by the way. We need to trade in those friends and get an upgrade, because right now that's like if you put it in a car scenario, that's a Mazda Protege, okay? We want to make you a Maserati, not a Mazda Protege. That was the first car I had, 1992, Mazda Protege. Actually, it wasn't 92. I wasn't old enough to drive. 96, sorry. So 96, I got this 5-year-old, everybody know what a Lemon is? Yeah, that's what I got, right? With a rebuilt engine. Oh, I can't believe it's so cheap for the car, right? Like, there's got to be a catch to this. Oh, no, the guy selling it, he's like, there's no catch. What are you talking about, son? I wouldn't do that to you. You're an Alabamian. You like the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. And then you buy the car and you start hearing these weird clinks, and it starts driving weird and all this stuff, right? That's a lemon. We don't want you to have a lemon related to your emotional health. We want you to have a Bentley, okay? And so the way you get that is by following some of the steps and things that I'm going to talk to you about tonight, and the ways that I'm going to talk to you about healing yourself and really getting emotional freedom so you can step into that transformation. But that takes time and repetition. It starts and ends with the first bone. That's the first little tip I'm going to give you. Getting scientifically, specifically, and chiropractically adjusted by a curve correction specialist, that's the first way you're going to get emotional freedom. And some of you, if you don't have it right now, you've been taking like every drug known to man like I did for years, right? Prozac and Lexapro and Zoloft, every Oft and Pro and Zac known to man, right? and you've been taking all of them for years, and then you're like, oh my God, doc, I don't know why after 8 visits, things aren't better. I'm really angry about this. For 60 years, I've been taking these toxic medications. I'm 70 pounds overweight, and I've been doing nothing for my health, but you can't fix me in 8 visits? What is wrong with you, doc? There is something wrong with this. This thing you guys are doing, this holistic thing, it's a total farce. I don't know what's going on here. Some people do that. You get that? And for 60 years, it's like not brushing your teeth for 60 years, and you walk into the dentist and you look like Snaggletooth, and you expect him to just fix it, just right then and there. Your body heals. We don't fix things here. We put your body in the right place so your body can do the work. So when you're laying on the table and I deliver that specific scientific corrective adjustment, according to your films, according to your scan, I'm reconnecting you to life in that moment in time, and that's the most important thing I could do for you, to unsubluxate you. Because if you're subluxated and pressure's on that brainstem, you're never going to get emotional freedom. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Because those blind spots are in there from a cellular standpoint, guys. You get that? They're deep-seated. They're in there. They're part of your DNA of who you are, who you know yourself to be. Some of you sitting in this room, you've gotten adjusted before and you just started crying because you had an awareness that came over you and it was hard for you to process. You didn't know how to process it. Or later on, you went home after you got adjusted and you said, you know what? I started realizing that this is going on, and you know, doc, this is crazy. I just felt different yesterday, doc. Kristen Schroyer, within the first couple of visits of her being under care here, she did a Facebook video, and basically in that Facebook video, she talked about how her entire life had changed. Now, she was emotionally open to the power of what the adjustment could do. She was emotionally open to what neurological care could do for her. She was a clear vessel. How many people have done a mission trip in here before? Okay, cool. Now, what's the general consensus amongst most people as far as who gets the blessing on going on a mission trip? What do we generally think when we go on a mission trip? That we're giving what? What's that? Yeah, that we're the ones giving help, right? Like they need us. Now, those of you, the 2 people that raised their hand, what do you figure out when you leave mission work? You got the help. Praise God. That's what you figure out. You figure out that you got the help, and you're actually not as smart and evolved as you think you are, right? They're actually more smart and evolved than you are. So I've been on 3 chiropractic mission trips, okay, to Haiti and the Dominican Republic, okay? And I'm going to tell you a story, and then I'm going to break into some other problem-solving steps, but I thought this was important to tell you this, okay? On our 2nd or 3rd mission trip, because Dr. Tanya and I have always gone together, we go with a company called Mission Life International. It's a group of probably 20 or 30 chiropractors, and I bet we light the brainstem bone on fire and probably, I don't know, each person's doing 100 people a day, between 70 to 100 people a day themselves, okay? And you got 10 to 20 docs. So do the numbers on that. Imagine how many lives are touched, right? But I'll never forget the day that I see this mom walking with her son because her son can't walk. And here's the picture. She's in rags for clothing, right? No shoes. Face is emaciated, right? Her son's totally naked. They didn't have clothes for him at all, right? And as you're walking by to where we're setting up tables, there's a little boy that couldn't be much older than 4 years old maybe. His ribs are poking out. He's in a mud hut. In a mud hut with no shoes on. No parents anywhere to be found. And come to find out that he was an orphan. There's tons of orphans in these places. So he's sitting there. His ribs are sticking out. I mean, who knows if we're not there and we don't get him connected with the orphanage? I mean, that little boy is probably going to die. You get that? And so we're walking to set up our tables to start getting ready to start serving and loving on people. And I see this little boy and I'm like, wow. And this is my 2nd mission trip, but still, the first one I never saw stuff like that. Because we go to all these different villages and you just see different stuff, you know. So it really hit me. That was like a really, really profound moment. But I feel like God was really setting me up for something even bigger. Because what he was about to do, I was totally blown away by. Totally blown away by. We set up the tables, and I start working on this mom, and she carries her son up right? And then her son's like sitting in the chair, okay? She puts her son in the chair, and he might have been, I don't know, 10, 11 years old, maybe. But he's like this, guys. His eyes are just, he never made eye contact. His eyes are just all like off in another planet, basically, right? And he's drooling all over himself. And I didn't have any real tools that I could do there, any technology there, but I mean, it basically looked like cerebral palsy is what it looked like. And so she's going face down. We get her reconnected to life, okay? Her atlas was out on the right, the mother was. Short leg on the right. I balanced it. You guys hear me talking about challenging it. I just pressed on it. The legs balanced, rocked her atlas, and you could just see Mom come alive. And this was a woman. I mean, you can imagine carrying around a 10-year-old. I mean, I carry around 30 pounds of little Cordie, and I feel like I just got like a 5-hour workout, you know? I'm like, can my biceps get any bigger off this kid? Here he's like a ham hock, right? Kid just loves to eat. You feed him, and then like 5 seconds later, he eats again. I'm like, you don't even poop as much as you eat. It's like, where do you put all that food, right? Where does it go? I don't know where it goes, man. Num-nums. I'm like, num-nums? You just like took out like a whole like beef patty, an organic beef patty, dude. Like now you're still num-nums. Num-nums. Okay. Give him the food, right? And he eats it, and then he'll play with it and throw it everywhere, and then he's powered back up. I guess he burns enough energy to pound more food. That's like crazy. I don't know how he does it. So at any rate, so then we get this little boy face down, and he's moving around, and Mom has to help him be like still and all that, and I do a technique to settle him down, a technique called Logan, right? And Logan got him to kind of like really just kind of relax and melt into the table a little bit. But he's still like this with his eyes and all that. And he had a left atlas. And one of the things that Mom had told me right before I got him on the table and really right when she first walked up was that in 10 years of him being on the planet, he had never made eye contact with her. And that was the one wish that she wanted, just to be able to look into her little boy's eyes and connect with him for however long. And she's like expressing this, and she's in tears. I mean, she's totally beside herself. And I got an interpreter because you guys know how good my Espanol is, like 5 words maybe on a good day. And sometimes I make up my own words just to sound cool, and you guys laugh at me and all that. But at any rate, so she's telling me this, and she's tearing up, and I'm a softie, so I'm like in tears as well. And we get little boy on the table. I do Logan on him. His body just kind of really just settles down. He turns over, and he's got a left atlas. So I'm like, this thing's about to get rocked. I'm just bringing the thunder on this one, right? And we did that. I did that. I gave him the hardest adjustment I possibly could because I didn't know if I'd ever get to adjust him again. So I wasn't going to leave any room for error there. And I'll never forget, I didn't look at his eyes immediately. I just didn't think about it. I go to his legs balance. His mom's already walking over to the table, and I'd been in his legs, so I wasn't paying attention. She'd already helped raise him up, and they're hugging, and they're looking in each other's eyes, and she's in tears. And that's when I was like, wow, thank God for what I do. Thank God for the service that we're able to provide to people. And I asked the interpreter, I had to know what this kid's name was. And I was totally unprepared and blown away for what she was about to tell me. And the interpreter said it the first time, and I'm like, oh, there's no way that can be the name. Like say it again. Spell it out. And he starts spelling it out. Cordie. And I'm like, wow. I just had to walk away there for a second. I'm like screaming. I just can't believe it. I'm like, my wife's over there. You know, Dr. Tanya's adjusting other people, and I have to like interrupt her with a patient. I'm like, do you realize what just happened? She's like, no, what are you talking about? And I told her the whole story, and we were just in tears. We were beside ourselves. Because only your Creator could set up a divine appointment like that. Why did I tell you that story? Well, I told you that story because so many of us are blocked with our past and the blind spots of our past, and we allow and make the choice to allow that to happen instead of working on shifting it. And shifting it is a process in our culture. It's only a process because we've made it a process. You get that? Do you think that a little boy, you think little Cordie walks around judging people, worried about what they think about him, worried about that they think that he picked up somebody's old gum and ate it, or picked up cat poop and ate it? Is he worried about that? He'd care less. Man, cat poop tastes pretty good. Man, I'm gonna keep this is a delicacy in some countries, right? You know, but he's so pure. He's just pure. You ever see how a child looks at a plant? My little boy looks at everything, and it's just like a fresh, clean eye. It's like an adventure. Everything's an adventure. And we lose that in this country. And we lose that in civilized countries too, don't we? And here we are in a third world country. And the capacity for healing is open and available to these people because they're open and available to receive it because there's not the limitations of the blind spots in their past that they've created to limit them. You get that? So that's why this talk tonight is so important. That's why it's going to change your life, because it starts with reconnecting you to that first bone, but then it starts with what you're going to do on your own. Because you can leave this office, and I say it all the time, and be subluxated 2 seconds after you leave. Does that mean you shouldn't get checked? Absolutely not. You need to be checked every single day, because that's going to take you out of dysfunction, put you in function, and allow you to live the life of your dreams longer than you would have otherwise. But we can't control what other people are doing, right? Because there's only 70,000 chiropractors, and less than 1% of those 70,000 are principled, and even a smaller percentage are doing curve correction. So there's a lot of people not getting adjusted out there. A lot of people not getting adjusted out there. So that's why I want to see this whole room filled up. We got friends, we got family members, people from church. We got to get them here. We got to get them checked. You get that? Got to get them checked. What they do with it, it's on them. We got to plant that seed, though. But that's why what you do at home, right? The brick and the mortar is the adjustment. The roof is everything else that we do. Everything else that we do on our own. So from an emotional standpoint, when we talk about getting emotional freedom, that's where those breathing techniques are going to come in. 3 sets of 14, 1 set of 7. The meditation that I did, you don't need a human being to do that. What I mean is you don't need to go somewhere and have another external teacher, doctor, me, do that for you. You can do that on your own. But it doesn't happen when you put on Fox News, oh my God, 20 minutes, I'm going to squeeze in the meditation. And then you've got your iPhone still on, right? Because you're tracking Facebook or you're doing a Facebook Live on your meditation. It doesn't work that way, guys. You got a selfie stick out to take a picture of you as you're meditating. That doesn't work. It definitely doesn't work if you go to like the place of your house that you hate. Maybe the cat's chewed on something. You can tell we've had that happen before, right? Or it's a, everybody has an area of their house. They're like, I like this area better. It makes me feel more abundant, whatever. And if you don't have an area like that, kudos to you, man. God bless you for that. But if you have an area like that and that area irritates you, you don't want to go there to start your guided meditation or start your breathing. So prayer and meditation is essential to emotional freedom. And there's not a certain time to do it. You see how we always make everything so difficult and we give it like rules and boundaries and, I have to do this. I have to have my favorite Bible in order to study the Word. No, you don't have to have that stuff. You know what you got to have? A clear state, a cell phone that's off, a place that makes you feel abundant. And if you can't be at home because maybe your spouse stresses you out and you don't want to share that with me or your spouse, then go somewhere else. Go to the beach. And maybe there's too many people on the beach. So you can create that feeling anywhere. You guys get that? Mm-hmm. I studied the Bible and meditated for 45 minutes before my son woke up. And I was just sitting at the kitchen table. That's all I did. I was just sitting at the kitchen table. Because for me, it's really just about me being quiet and having no disruptions. And I find for me, the better time for me to do that is in the morning. Now, can you just, having never meditated, never prayed, never done anything to reach emotional freedom and start working on these blind spots, can you all of a sudden, are you going to do it tomorrow and you're going to see like the gates, the Holy Grail is going to open and Jesus is going to present himself and you're just going to feel like you dusted off 60 years of stuff? Probably not. I mean, it could happen. It's probably unlikely though. You get that? So that's why I really want to encourage you. You got to have patience. Galatians, I believe it's 25:32, maybe 22:32. Somebody's going to look it up later on and correct me. It talks about the fruits of the Spirit, right? Love, kindness, peace. And if you guys don't believe in the Bible, and I've got some atheists in here, hey guys, it's all good. You don't have to believe what I believe. But it's the #1 best-selling book in the entire world. So we can all learn something from it, even if we don't believe in that stuff. You get that? People are too narrow-minded. I look at Abraham Hicks. Anybody heard of that? Yeah, that's kind of New Age universe stuff. But there's some great stuff in there. Some Christians are like this, man. They do this. Hey, I'm about whatever I can learn from. There's all sorts of people that believe different things related to landmark and personal growth transformations like that. But I do them. Why? Because it's helped me get closer to God. It actually has helped me understand the Bible more, not less. I've done 6 of those. My 7th one was landmark. And I found out that landmark, and they're going to be coming to talk to you guys at some point, okay? And I don't get anything out of that, okay? But that's the next level of you changing your life. Best landmark, I'll always say it, is at C1. But some of us, we can't get out of the way of our stinking thinking. Or we're by a spouse that's not serving us. Maybe you're constantly getting abused by a spouse, physically, emotionally, mentally. Maybe your self-esteem's really low. So what you have to start to learn is you have to start to get awareness inside of you about why that's not serving you and why you deserve more and better. And sometimes you can't clear that out on your own. Sometimes you need a lot of things to clear that out. But you owe it to yourself and your family to do that. I made an oath a long time ago that anything holistic that was going to prevent me from getting cancer, I was going to do. Whether it's putting this ointment made out of coconut oil that I use with my fingers on my armpits, or getting certain filters, I'm the weirdo. The guy that's annoying when you're ordering food at a restaurant, I don't care. Because I lost 4 grandparents to cancer, almost lost my mom about 7 years ago. And my dad has Parkinson's, and I have guardianship of him. Okay, I'm his legal guardian. And I'm only 38 years old. So I said I was going to be hyper vigilant about that. Well, one of the #1 causes of cancer is emotional blocks. It's emotional blocks, folks. So the next thing that you can do is your 49 breaths. So you do your prayer and you do your meditation, right? And then you start doing your breathing. In the nose and out the mouth. Nice and slow. You got that easy rhythm. So I gave you kind of an example of how you could do it. And you can go back to that place. For some of you, if you're kinesthetic learners or visual learners, what's going to be really good for you is to get in a chair, maybe similar to one of these chairs, in a quiet place, and actually visualize being here. And as much as you don't want to hear my voice, so you have to hear it on the TV all the time, right? Some of you are like, man, I love the videos. I was home last night and I thought about your voice in my head. And that kind of scares me a little bit. But it's great at the same time. It's great at the same time, right? Because you're learning stuff that you can do to shift all the junk you got going on that's blocking you, preventing you from getting better. So it may be that you need to picture what we did tonight. And maybe even picture what we did tonight related to your breathing. If you're on a breathing schedule and you've made it a have to instead of a want to, that's not good. Why is that not good, guys?